To the newcomer, Vim's way of doing things may seem strange, but with familiarity it becomes natural. Many of the features seemed odd at first, but when you get used to them you recognize that they have their own particular elegance. Registers, however, can get a little bit frustrating. It's important to understand how they work, when they work, and how to use them. Registers in Vim, as shortly presented in the buffers video, are Vim's way of storing data or a sequence of operations into the memory. Registers can be any character on the keyboard or the numbers. However, the numbers specifically are not that straightforward. Let's get into it. Out of pure interest, I'm just pasting whatever happens in my A, B, C, D buffers. This is the example for C, and D for some reason doesn't have anything in it. I'll also search the numbered registers just to see what I have there. Numbered registers are a bit different in that sense because they hold kind of a clipboard history, which we'll touch on in a bit. So I just yanked 3 lines. When I paste them, I can see the exact same 3 lines and pasted because this is coming from the unnamed register. If I try to paste from 0, which serves as the unnamed register, you can see the exact same lines pasted. If I yank a certain word like blacklist, it works exactly the same. I can see blacklist printed into the screen either from P or from the unnamed register, which is coming from 0 in my case. Another interesting register is the search register. I'm searching for the word string here, which I can move back and forward in, and then when I search or paste from the search register, just pasting from /, I can see the result or whatever last search I made. Remember the fact that I yanked a single word, which was string. This is saved into the small delete register, which is hyphen. We'll see that in a sec. Remember that because it's important for the next demonstration. So what I'm gonna do now is yank some text and see how that performs. I'm marking the line, yanking it, and then trying to paste it. You can see I can paste and the same line keeps coming. The same goes for 0, the unnamed register. However, if I try to paste from hyphen, the small delete register, see what words comes up. True is now pasted into my text because that was the last small word that I've yanked, and that's saved into the hyphen register. If you're thinking now that this is kind of awkward, well, it is. I can only agree. I'm not using it daily, but you may see some weird results with Vim, and that's partially the reason of why you see what you see. So we talked about the fact that Vim has a clipboard history saved into the numbered registers. Well, it does provide a convenient method for iterating through the history, and it sounds like a good thing, but there is a little bit of a catch. Vim never writes yank operations to the registers. Instead, yank text is written to the register 0, which is the unnamed one. Let's see this in action. I'm going to cut the first line, and then the second one, and then the third, undo my stuff, and then use the clipboard. So I'm pasting 3, then 2, then 1 from the registers, and you can see the same sequence of deletions is now reiterating itself when I paste it from the clipboard history. Vim kept saving my results into the numbered registers and incrementing them as I went through. So 2 important lessons here. 1, I'm not using the numbered registers because it's just getting overwritten every time something is deleted into the clipboard history. Lesson 2, if you're expecting to make use of the clipboard history, try not to yank stuff. Yanking isn't get saved as you'd expect, and you won't be able to use the clipboard history as you thought you would. A practical way to actually make use of the clipboard history is using the redo register. Redo register is basically the dot command that repeats your last command, and that also serves as a register. If you try to print what's going on in the dot command, you'd find the last action you took in Vim. So with that in mind, using the dot command will increase the number of register used. So if you use register 1 paste following by dot, it will result in the 2 register paste. Repeating this will result in all numbered registers being inserted to the text, and that becomes a little bit more useful than what we've seen before. Just remember, when I say that registers 1 to 9, they only record deletions. I have to add another caveat. If the range of text being deleted spans less than 1 line, it'll be written to the hyphen register, the small delete register. That is, unless you prefix the delete operation with a named register. Sounds complex? Well, it is. Let's see another register. The filename register is something you can always use in print. That comes from the %sign, so Shift5 register will print the file name. Pretty useful in many cases, especially when you write scripts. It's hard to talk about registers without actually mentioning that you can record any sequence of operations into a register that will be macros. I link above here in the video to the video that surrounds macros. That's something I've recorded and shared last week. It'll be a lot more comprehensive if that's what you're looking to do, but let's go for a small sequence just to see how it works. So recording a sequence of operations starts with Q. Here I'm running QM and I will record into the register M. And I can do all sorts of stuff. In this case, I will add comment into certain locations. And when I'm done, I can hit Q again and then rerun the same sequence of operations that's been saved into the M register. I can print the content of the M register and see the sequence of operations. You can see DD, using the bracket to go to the next section. Using the 0, writing / comment, JJ serves as my escape, etc, etc. That's very convenient also to see what happens in the sequence, and you can edit the sequence and resave it into the register and then use that the next time. Lastly, a very useful register in Vim which we didn't touch at all, and that's the black hole register. Black hole register is where you send results to die, basically, where you want them to disappear. Why would that be useful? Because sometimes you want to cut or yank stuff and you don't want them to overwrite the last command. Meaning, if I've cut something and I want to keep that in my unnamed register, I don't want something to override that the next time that I cut. For that, I'm using the black hole register, and in my case, that would be twice the quote. Let's see how it works. So when I yank a line, I can paste it and paste it and paste it. But now if I were to cut a line or yank it, that would normally go into the unnamed register. But if I prefix that with the black hole register, I can repaste from the unnamed register without any issue whatsoever. That's very useful sometimes when you want to keep your result in the unnamed register. You just prefix that with quote. If you listen closely, you probably know there is a small hack to bypass that. I can use my clipboard history to paste the line that I've cut, even if I've sent it to the black hole register. So that's another useful feature. So after understanding registers, I think we can agree that cut is not a sensible default behavior for a command that's named delete. Terminology is somewhat misleading. The behavior itself is not exact, but as long as you know what you're doing and you understand the results with them, you can find your way to working with it, even with its awkwardness. There are some plugins out there that are intended to fix some of the problems like the clipboard history, weirdness, and additional behaviors in Vim. I will link to some of them in the description below, but honestly, I'm not using them. Please check out other Vim videos I have in my playlist. It has a ton of Vim goodness in there. See you on the next one.